All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So this is the second webinar in a series that we're doing for XenTegra Managed Services. So the last one we did was all around our Nutanix DR as a service. If you haven't seen it, I recommend going out. We've got product management from Nutanix on it. Brian, our chief architect, going at it, and it's a good one. So, but today this is around kind of a near and dear to our heart, and XenTegra, right? We're the Citrix guys, and this is all about Citrix Managed Services. And so, just a quick intro for me. I lead Trevor Mansell. I lead up our managed services, our hosting, our support side of our business here at XenTegra. Been in the Citrix ecosystem, EUC ecosystem for a long time. Back, I think it goes back into the 90s, and was with Citrix for a number of years. So, but yeah, and then we've got Brian Clark. Brian, if you want to introduce yourself there real quick.
Yeah, I'm the chief architect. I'm responsible for crafting a lot of the solutions, policies, and procedures for the managed services. This is our original offering. And Trevor and I have refined it over these past many years into a truly capable service that I believe can truly replace any kind of managed services requirement for Citrix and beyond Citrix. So it's a truly a enterprise grade fit for customers looking to get some help on the Citrix space.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, Brian. So and also if you've joined and you're not necessarily looking for a managed service or support or any that type of outsourcing, there's going to be something here for you. We we work with a lot of customers that maybe don't intend to, their long-term strategy isn't managed services, but they're having struggles with just staffing or whatever it might be, or just challenges. We come in, a lot of times we'll do a short-term managed service, a year or something, and basically do it's more of a training session. So we're here kind of to show our secret sauce to some degree. What we've learned and what we've seen as to be successful and helping people to get the most out of their investment, out of this environment, because it can be, as everybody knows, it can be challenging for different reasons. So. Brian, you want to swap to the next slide there? Just quick agenda. I'm going to, go through just real, fairly short who XenTegra is, if you haven't worked with us before. Also, just take you through from a high level what our offerings are. And then I'm going to hand it off to Brian, and we're going to really kind of dig into kind of our blueprint, and we call it the XenTegra Blueprint, Success Blueprint, and we'll Brian, and if you've got questions along the way, again, put them in the chat. I'll be keeping an eye out for those, and as technical as you want to go, I think we've got the guy on here to handle it. So. All right, let's go here. So who's XenTegra? Our roots are obviously in Citrix. We started out being that, the Citrix partner. That was the mission of XenTegra. Now I guess we're pushing 11, 12 years ago now, and that's really been our was our number one focus. And since then, we've grown. The stack, the offerings, dramatically have grown over the years. And so, but at the same time, digital workspace is is core to what we do at XenTegra. So just also we've got in that growth, we have a division for our gov. We have a gov team now for SLED, for Fed customers that have those unique needs. We also have, for those customers that are, kind of fall under that 250 below, we'll just call them SMB. That is a complete, that's a very unique space, and the offerings are going to look a little bit different for those type of customers. And so we have a division now that and a team that supports SMB customers, and that's XenTegra One. And just to call out, we have an office in Canada and a team up there that are doing a great job and really doing a lot of the same things that we do here in the U.S. And so our teams are very integrated. And then we just more recently opened up our India office, and that's directed at that India market, and also providing offshore resources for our customers when that is called for. A lot of words on this slide, but at the core, we're a value-added reseller. We provide pro services, managed services. We do a lot of assessments, free assessments for our customers. We do a lot of events, a lot of bringing people together, bringing our customers, bringing our vendors together, and helping bring the right solutions to our customers. And so our core vendors: Citrix, VMware, Nutanix, Microsoft, iGel, ServiceNow under our modern apps practice, and Salesforce. Go ahead, and this is just to highlight the focus of what we've done, and it's been there's been a lot of great success, and there's a little pat on the back slide, but just want to flash this a little bit. So Worldwide Partner of the Year back in 2019, we made the CRN list, top of that list for Citrix MSP and just MSP in general. Yeah, so a lot of, it's great to see that all the work we've put in over the last 11, 12 years is people have taken notice. So just to kind of show you that we've got a lot of vendors that we work with, and this is just a group of the core strategic vendors, and also and then some of the others that we do a lot of work with. High level, our services offering: pro services around consulting, different solutions, support, 24/7 break fix type support services, and then managed services that we're going to be talking both about support and managed services today, specifically around Citrix. And then we've got hosted, and also for the customers that are looking for offshore resources, services, that is something also that we provide. All right, so kind of dialing in here, I'll just call out some of the other managed services that we provide, but obviously Workspace is Citrix. That's where we started. That's where we continue to have a strong focus and a lot of growth around our Workspace and our Citrix Managed Services. But as you guys, if you've been doing this for any period of time, that in order to be successful with Citrix, or whatever EUC solution that you're leveraging, it's the underlying infrastructure, the components that support that solution that are going to make it or break it. And so that's so around the supporting stack of other services that honestly are coming up underneath the Workspace. We've got managed services around Fortinet and Cisco, security with Arctic Wolf, Expel.io, Red Canary.
Hey, Trevor.
Yeah.
Could you? I think it's worth noting here that a lot of the vendors, specifically on this slide, we've kind of pulled in and pulled out over the years, strictly to kind of bolster that EUC experience for our customers. And like the list here is really kind of been refined to that point that we've got a really nice offering that we can deliver to our customers. Could you talk a little bit about how we've partnered up with all these specific vendors and how our relationship with those vendors is beneficial to the customers?
Yeah, no, that's good call out. I mean, so like you said, this has been an iterative experience, right? So we've honed down, those solutions that we've found success for us and for our customers, because, frankly, everything that we provide as a managed service, we leverage internally. We have our hosted environments, and then our internal environments. So we don't. It's very rare that there's anything in this stack that it's not something that we use internally. But I think to your point, Brian, I think you're calling out is just this is one side of our business. The other is we do a lot of pro services and resell, and but at the core of really XenTegra, it's about bringing it says relationships with the vendors that we put a lot into, and in turn, the investment we put into our vendors and those relationships and being very, very close is, again, something that we can provide. It provides an advantage to you, whether that's that, hey, we need to escalate something. I mean, whether we need to get additional discounts or we have a situation, having those key relationships at different levels in these organizations is really I think, Brian, is what you're maybe calling out. So.
Absolutely.
All right, so what we just looked at was around fully proactive managed services. This is, we also provide break fix support. We call our advanced support services. And this is just a vendor snapshot of what our core offering is, specifically around 24/7 NOC-based break fix support. So and we'll talk a little bit about this more around Citrix, but the one thing I'll call out, we provide white glove managed services, no doubt, and support is no different. It is reactive versus the managed services, but we do a lot of things to provide a service that a break fix service is something that's hard, but that it's going to give you, that's slightly more proactive. So we're not providing did we lose our slide by chance?
I don't think so.
I am not. Okay, are you seeing it?
I am.
Okay, well, I am not, but okay, it sounds like everybody else is seeing it. I'm not sure what that means, but hold on.
I'll chime in here, Trevor, that I think a big use case for our support services is that if the problem starts off with people thinking it's a Citrix issue and it turns out to be a Microsoft problem, our engineers are going to help you every step of the way, right? We're not just isolated to one single vertical or technology stack, where our engineers are going to make sure that if the problem is a user can't log into a desktop and that is because of some technical problem on the Active Directory side, we're going to make sure that you're going to get complete resolution. We're not going to hide behind a gate of Citrix only or Microsoft only or whatever only. We're here to help.
That is, yes, exactly. It's, and I think, so we have a very high retention rate with both of those services for that reason. I think everybody can feel the pain of, a break fix support. So. All right, let's go to the next slide here.
And I've got it up, and if you don't see it, let me know and I'll brief you on it.
No, it's okay. I just brought up the deck locally, so I can see it. So just another quick. So pretty much every vendor, I think some people are very aware of this, but others aren't. But I'll bring this up. most vendors, and especially the ones you see on this slide, have what they call a service provider licensing model. And that's for people like us, or people that develop apps and want to publish them out. In a bundled customer offering, there is a model, like a pay-as-you-go type model for that service provider, for their solution. So I bring this up is because we can, if you're looking for more of a pay-as-you-go offering, whether it's for Citrix, whether it's for a logic monitor, another solution, that is something that we can provide as well. And just ask for it. I don't think a lot of times this doesn't come up. Typically, the motion is, hey, you're buying in a 1 year or a 3 year up front, and they're not even aware that there are these models that you can leverage. So we can go ahead and move to the next slide there. All right, so just before we kind of jump over and dive in, hand it off to Brian, I think I just want to say some of the obvious here. And a lot of the challenges with VDI and published applications are a lot of the same reasons why we use them, right? So we the cost of the solution. A lot of times we're trying to reduce costs, and that's why we're leveraging this. We're trying to make management of desktops and applications, the deployment of that and the delivery of that easier and simpler. But at the same time, these solutions can get very complex for many different reasons, and we can talk about that more. And then end user experience is the top of the list. I mean, that's ultimately what's going to make or break. No matter how great the use case is, if the end user performance is bad enough, IT is going to cave, leadership's going to cave to something else. And so that's really, probably the number one thing that people are struggling with sometimes, and for different reasons. But there's so many, the technologies have come so far over the years, compared to, the expectations have increased, but the technologies have increased as well. And so a lot of things we can do to make that experience better, and in some cases great. So just other things that are challenges, image sprawl. That's really come around the management of the environment. I think a lot of people struggle with maybe a disjointed workflow, whether that's in maintenance of the environment, that's different than maybe a traditional desktop endpoint type maintenance flow, or a disjointed workflow for the end user. Hey, now I have to go log into my desktop to click another icon that brings up a desktop, and there are solutions for all this. But I call this out because it is definitely it's a struggle for a lot of people. And then just finding experienced talent, keeping talent. Those are obviously it's not just for VDI, but for a lot of areas. And then just securing it. How do you secure this environment? What's different about this environment as it relates to security, and your approach to security? These are, again, details that we kind of here at XenTegra. This is why we're in business. So real quick, this is a little bit of an eye chart, but before we hand it over to Brian here, I just want to, and we can get you these slides, by the way. We can send them out to everybody that joined. So what you've got advanced support here on your left, and it's basically the spectrum of Citrix support and managed services. So we start off with, hey, advanced support, which is what we previously talked about, and then managed support or managed standard, which is basically our support, but it also adds our NOC and monitoring with it. So you have a combination of, it's not a full managed services. The customer is a primary owner of managing that environment, but they have the XenTegra team for to back them up from a support perspective, and also provide additional visibility 24/7 after hours stuff in addition to that. So trying to keep our customer, the guys that are on call in bed as much as possible. So that's pretty popular with most of our customers. And then Managed Plus is really what you would think of a traditional managed service, in the sense that, yeah, it's proactive monitoring, it's ongoing maintenance and workflow support, we're essentially an extension, or we can be your Citrix team. So depending on, it could be a managed or it could be co-managed, and a lot of that depends on how the organization is staffed, and kind of what their strategy is. So they might, it might be an extension of the team to just, hey, we need more resources, to help. It could be, hey, we'll give you a liaison, and you're going to be, your team will be primary on that environment. And then on going over one column, Manage Select is really where we expand out, and we're managing other supporting pieces of that solution, whether that's the compute, networking, storage, endpoint, patching, you name it. And then on the far right, we've got Hosted Select, which, as is essentially the easy button. We host it and manage it, and we can also, in that offering, there's flexibility to provide, to do a co-managed, or even, us just providing the hosting and support with that. It really, because a lot of people just want a DAS offering that they manage, at a OS and above level. So, all right. Well, hopefully I didn't kill anybody with the first slides, but I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page of what we're doing in this space. And so Brian, you want to kind of talk to what we're doing to help customers be successful here?
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Trevor. I hope everyone has a great understanding of our claim to fame here and what we offer. Let's dive into how we deliver. So the first thing from an engineering standpoint is you need a blueprint, right? If I'm building a building, a car, whatever, I need to have a blueprint. I need to have a set of designs that I build to make sure that I have a standard that I can set and that I can meet that standard. Our blueprint has been refined, not just from everyone's tenure here as XenTegra, but also from all the knowledge and journeys that we've taken to get here. So there's a lot of knowledge, not just myself, not just Trevor's, but we culminate from hundreds of years of experience of engineers that we've taken a little bit here and a little bit there, and we've crafted this blueprint that is solid. We've got large worldwide global customers, using our formula for success. And it's not just a technical formula, it's a combination of workflows, documentation, ITSM practices, and tech. So there's a lot of things that go into what we make our blueprint to be successful with. And we're just going to kind of outline that in these following slides. I really want to point out that it's not just Citrix and Microsoft. When we talk about our DAS or Citrix services, absolutely, we're using the recommended practices. But every layer of the stack, we always go back to the vendor. And sometimes we go to the vendor and we'll say, hey, your recommended practice is outdated. You need to update it. And we have that relationship with the vendors, and they make the updates to their recommendations based on what we see in the field. So a lot of this is driven not from labs, but from the trenches. As I like to think that our team catches every bug before the vendor does. We've got that kind of relationship where we're always making sure we're testing in the latest and greatest tech and making sure that it's stable for our customers. But what's really key here. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to chime in here. I think you call out a good point. So, I'm just thinking of some things that are just like, challenging for a lot of people that just come out of, come from the side essentially, but like network or security and networking, right? That, hey, the EDR that you're using, the different security agents that you're using, best practices with those are super critical. It's the difference between like a terrible experience and a great one. So yeah, Brian, great bringing up that point.
Yeah. So the first step, and I've really debated on whether you should start with the tech or the workflow over the years, and as I've wisened up, it's really the workflows that I think where you have to polish up your skill set first. I've walked into customers that have the latest and greatest server stacks, all brand and shiny new. They have NVMe SANs, and still nothing works. And you'd find out that they're patching during production, that they don't have UAT, that nothing's documented. And so you can have all this wonderful technology, but if you're not using it in the right way, it's kind of moot. So we start off with our workflows, and all of our documentation and workflows are built on top of the ServiceNow platform. The Now platform is critical to the success that we bring ourselves and our customers because of all the integrations and workflow reminders and checklists and things that it brings. You get a beautiful example of how case workflow happens right here in the screenshot, but the ability to track incidents, cases, changes, and documentation, knowledge bases is absolutely critical. You need to have a baseline, and those baselines need to be recorded. And then whenever you make an alteration, you need to have documentation of that. We find that a lot of companies struggle with this. And so that's really what the basis of our managed services is really based upon, is having that level of documentation and taking it to the customer. Even if you don't subscribe to our proactive managed service and you just use this for break fix support, you still get the benefits of our ServiceNow system. It's not uncommon for a break fix customer to call in, 6 months down the line, and we can look up their case and say, oh yeah, we saw this asset had this problem 6 months ago. It turns out that you didn't, renew an SSL certificate or something. That's, it's not documented live, but we have that level of documentation within our ServiceNow workflow. So documentation is critical. We're strong proponents of workflow and massive proponents of the Now platform. In fact, we take that platform and we try to make documentation and workflow as easy for you to use as possible. So again, using the Now platform, we take what we've developed and we give you kind of WYSIWYG GUI editors to do simple requests, right? If you need to pay a bill, if you need to open a case, if you need us to monitor something, if you need us to set a profile, like all of that is in our portal, easy to use, easy to execute, right? People don't do documentation unless it's easy. Right? No one wants to open up a Word doc and start typing away for a request, or open up an email for saying, hey, I need you to provision Jim Bob over in accounting, right? A couple of clicks is all they need to really have the attention span in the modern era. And what's great about this is it's fully logged, fully audited, fully documented. You can walk through this trail, see how many people's hands it's touched, and a lot of it is automated. So if you want to just have a user created and get an application published to them, it's just a couple of clicks in the Now platform. You don't have to run a bunch of scripts. You don't have to get approvals if you don't need them. So building these workflows and automations and on top of the Now platform is really the fundamentals of our ITSM platform. So when you get that level of integrations, then you can start talking about, what can you build on top of it, all the different services that we offer. All of these, in some shape or form, whether it be a workflow or the ability to open up a case, is built on top of the Now platform. So we offer a lot of different services now to our customers that we have enabled through these ITIL workflows. And if you can take a quick glance at this list, the majority of them are Citrix based, right? I like to think Citrix partner numero uno, worldwide partner of the year, North American partner of the year multiple times. And a lot of that is based on our knowledge of Citrix and integrating that with these workflows. There's a lot of different parts of Citrix that get captured under just the word Citrix, right? So it's not just virtual apps and desktops. It could be ADC. It could even be Microsoft products, like how they integrate with Active Directory or Microsoft Azure and AVD. Like Citrix and AVD is peanut butter and jelly. So there's a lot of different aspects that we bring together under the Citrix umbrella, all supported by the Now platform. So when you've got these main services, we like to kind of carve them up into specific SKUs, with monitoring probably being my favorite. It's not super uncommon to walk into an environment that you're trying to fix for a customer and they're like, we don't know what's broken. And it turns out that a server ran out of space, right? So monitoring is one of those things that I think is non-negotiable in the modern enterprise era. We offer very customized, effective monitoring with our partners for both EUC and data center. And then we can take all that monitoring data, provide it into a dashboard and alert and operate on those alerts. So if you'll see like a lot of customers, or take a look at yourself, are you guys monitoring the basics, CPU, memory, disk space? If you are those going to people at 3 o'clock in the morning? Ask our NOC how many times a day that they get pinged for, oh, this server ran out of space as it's doing a Windows update, right? So we can take that offload off of you, or we can provide the what you should be monitoring aspect through our partners like Logic Monitor. If you're not familiar with Logic Monitor, they are best in breed for what you can get in the data center world of monitoring. They do offer some EUC monitoring that's critical to things like monitoring cloud connectors or delivery controllers or whatever product you're using. What's really great about this is that monitoring 10 years ago is different than monitoring now. With the integration of AI and the ability to take all these different levels of heuristics and plug them into a smart platform, and it can essentially filter out the noise for you. So that's absolutely critical to the modern era. As you deliver more and more services, you're generating more and more noise. You really need to be able to focus in and choose those items that are of critical of importance to your company, your business, and make sure that you aren't waking up at engineers 3 o'clock in the morning for a redundant system that's gone down and it can wait till the next morning, right? You want to keep your labor fresh, your service is high. And so there's a lot of tuning that has to go into the modern era of monitoring, and Logic Monitor as a solution takes care of a lot of that, and our custom workflows take care of the rest. Our next platform is Uber Agent, specifically for EUC monitoring, or commonly called now DEX for the digital employee experience. Uber Agent is a fantastic SaaS-based offering. We run it out of our data center. We are the only gold partner in North America for Uber Agent. And it allows us to capture a great deal of data from customer environments and take that data and kind of assign a user experience score to how those sessions are, which is a combination of like how fast are they logging in, how much machine power are they using, what's their latency like. It takes all that information, crunches it to a single number, and holistically we can take a look and say this guy's having a great time or this guy's logging in from the moon, right? And his latency is off the charts. Very, very powerful tool, particularly for things like user logon duration analysis. It used to be, it's not so common anymore, but it used to be people would click the login button, they'd get up and go get a cup of coffee, and then they'd come back and they'd be logged into Citrix, right? So, it's not uncommon for that still to happen, but our goal is really sub 30-second logins across the board, right? So we have a lot of automation in place that says, if you're not logging in 30 seconds, we need to take a look at something. That's the modern era of what VDI and desktops should be giving you.
So Brian, what do you, can you just speak to like how we use this from a baselining the environment and kind of how the importance of that part is?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, having a blueprint is great, right? It gives you that standard to work from. But as you grow your company, as you become more successful and you add services and you add users, things change. So we take that blueprint and we establish a baseline, right? At 150 users with this many desktops and this much physical hardware, we expect a 9.6 user experience score. But let's say all of a sudden you're adding in a very demanding workload, or you want to do training in YouTube, for example, is a very, very common use case, or any kind of video conferencing. You're going to see a detriment to the user experience because that workload wasn't associated with the blueprint. And using these tools, you can clearly tell the customer that as you've added these new workloads, that you're no longer expected to have the same level of performance that you were having, because we've gotten that baseline on the workloads that we spec the environment for. So great point, Trevor. Like if you can't tell where you're going to go if you don't know where you've been. So absolutely something that we track.
I mean, there's a lot of customers do, as much as do a lot of things right. But the one thing that just, I think everybody struggles with, because it's never ending, is the security patches, just relentlessly coming at you. And it just takes, as you guys know, it takes one patch, and all of a sudden, the help desk is lighting up, about poor performance, or, can't connect, or whatever it might be. So this kind of thing is crucial, especially pre-prod testing, because testing is everything, obviously. But yeah, good stuff.
In the future, on the managed services side, we will offer control up. You can absolutely get it from us from a resale opportunity right now. But when you get the control up product, you're also going to get the Scout Beast product, which is going to continuously baseline the level of performance of the environment through sets of algorithms and automations. So, right now all the baselines are user generated, but soon from a managed service perspective, you can get that as a service from XenTegra, as automated baselining of your environment. Always make sure that every day as your users wake up, the experience is going to be consistent.
Yeah, I think also point out it's, certain levels of customers are, have different needs. We also leverage BSI login, for application baselining and sizing, and so that's another solution that we'll use, and depending on the circumstance, and we provide it as a service.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
Once we talked about baselining, we really need to talk to make sure that, as Trevor alluded to, there's always security patches coming out, and that is the never-ending battle. Now, it used to be making the users happy. Now it's making them happy as there's a CVE released for one piece of software in your stack every single day. So we offer the ability to secure the VDI endpoint, which is different than securing your physical endpoint. Right? A lot of people don't give the care and consideration to their VDI that they would normally do to a physical endpoint, typically in the realm of non-persistent VDI. They have the illusion that, it's non-persistent, let's just reboot it, and it's not going to be an issue anymore. Despite the era of now that, even though the VDI itself is non-persistent, that doesn't mean malware can't get to the user profile or to a neighboring file share. So there's a lot of consideration that has to get put into the modern VDI security standard, and we bring that knowledge to our customers. And in reality, a lot of it is based on just getting the antivirus to, good old-fashioned antivirus to work inside of your non-persistent desktop. There's every vendor has their special sauce. We've been around the block more than once when it comes to AV. We have our recommendations if you are unhappy with your current provider. But a lot of that is just making sure that your antivirus supports something like a non-persistent environment. And we can help you do that, with all the big name vendors. We can get it to work inside of VDI. And that's just the first layer of the onion. There's a lot more steps that we take to make sure that your VDI is secure. And as a matter of fact, we actually have an assessment that we can run just for VDI to help you guys make sure that, you're meeting all the expectations of the modern era when it comes to securing your virtual desktop environment. Outside of that, we are also using our Tanium partnership to secure your Windows and Mac endpoints. So, if you run something like an iGel Linux endpoint, fantastic. Those are very, very secure out of the box. There's still some tweaks we can do. We offer free iGel assessment that includes some security settings that, if you haven't taken advantage of, I highly recommend you do. But for people that run Windows-based endpoints, we can actually leverage our Tanium cloud platform to apply things like the sys standard to your endpoint, making them secure just a couple clicks of the button, and making sure that they maintain that level of security. So it's very easy to do it one time and then have drift in the environment. Okay, we got to make this lax and this lax and this lax for X, Y, and Z software, or because they put out a patch that decreases performance. Right? Using the Tanium cloud platform, we can make sure that the first level of devices that your end users touch is secure. And when that's secure, then your VDI has a higher chance to be secure. And we just build and build and build upon all these different layers of security. And so, if you don't, oh yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Brian, just, I think a lot of people, what do you think is the misnomer about security and Citrix, like what, because honestly, Citrix is, and just similar solutions have been, I mean, big, the security community have been big fans of that, right? Because you're keeping the data back in the data center, hopefully, right? Depending on how your policies are set up. But I think that endpoint matters. The security on that endpoint matters, no matter what it is, right? Because
absolutely.
What do you like? What's the biggest risk, like, at that endpoint, you think?
So
when you're using Citrix,
there's probably two. It depends on what your business is in. But out of the box, Citrix, has full access to the disk of the endpoint, and chances are that you can copy files back and forth from an endpoint into your VDI, right? So like it's very easy to get malware up from an endpoint into the VDI. That's probably one aspect, or data exfiltration, right? So if you have sensitive customer data inside of your data center, you can copy it back down to your endpoint.
And I'll throw one more in there, because this is the one that I always was just like, because I always, and I was like, well, we can do BYOD, we can do, you can go to any cafe, and I'm just going to connect via Citrix, and it's secure, right? It doesn't matter what I'm connecting from. But the reality is if there is malware, like you said, on that device, and they're scraping passwords, I am handing over their password, to whoever that is, right? I mean, obviously, MFA is a help. Citrix has some different security features that can help, but I think that's like the misnomer a lot of times, that just because you're connecting to a virtual desktop, you're not giving up credentials to your AD, and if you're an admin, forget about it, right? So
yeah, I think the key takeaway there is that VDI can absolutely be very, very secure because it's nice and tight behind the data center, but it is not absolutely that way out of the box. You got to make sure you flip the right switches and configure the right policies to get that level of security.
Yeah.
All right, so switching away from security, I think we've addressed several points on pain points around Citrix, right? Like, documentation, blueprints, security. And now we're going to talk about image management, right? I come from a very large healthcare organization where we had an exorbitant number of, 50 plus images, if not more, for different workloads, right? You have common apps like Outlook and the Office suite, you have Adobe apps, you have your healthcare apps or your business specific line of business apps, all on different silos. And then at the very beginning of 2000s or the mid 2000s, they started doing application virtualization, and you could containerize these apps and build them. And you had things like App Unity and Liquidware's product and all these different things like Flex App. But now you have to package the app, right? And if you've ever done any SCCM work, like packaging an app is painful, and you have to regression test. There's a lot of stuff that has really soured the taste of maintaining all these different applications in a virtual space. And we've developed a product that we call App Readiness, that we take all that burden away. And this is not just for Citrix. We can treat your company like SCCM and take over patching and application deployment and regression testing for both VDI and physical workloads. So this is a great product. We can take your applications, package them for you, regression test them, publish them to UAT, promote them into production, and provide full reporting and analysis on that application. So as I dive into this product line, there's so much things that we can do that really a lot of customers are finding a lot of benefits for. When you have the ability to take these applications, package them, repackage them into things like Flex App, you can consolidate the amount of servers that you have, reducing your data center infrastructure footprint, reducing long-term costs. You don't need as much hardware because you can have dynamic applications for every user workload that they need, right? So, it's very common for 4 or 5 servers for these handful of users that need these applications. Now you can put them in the main server, right? And the application loads dynamically at login. We can totally support custom homebrew applications, and we can make sure that those applications are automatically pushed out and make sure that they launch. We're not promising to be application experts within the application, but we can absolutely make sure that if you say, hey, can you file print from this app, we can do that level of testing for you as well. This is one of our latest offerings. We're very, very proud of it. It's very, very powerful, and we feel like it takes a lot of that burden. You would have entire teams whose goal was supposed to be Citrix admins just doing image work. And we totally have taken that burden off of these companies and freed up those resources to work on valuable internal projects or whatever they need them to do. So, Trevor built this offering, and he is just a rock star with us. So,
rock star. Yeah, no, I think it's one of those things. You're not every, like, if you look at every, most customers, you've got a combination of your traditional Windows 10, 11 desktops, Macs, whatever. And then you've got your, your virtualized environment and desktops and apps that are virtualized. And so this solution really addresses, both areas. And you called it out, Brian, but I really think, being able to, in the core of it, we're big fans of FlexApp, and being able to, instead of creating, a number, tens of images to stuff a bunch of applications into, and struggle that way, we will package it up as a service, and we'll keep that updated on a monthly basis. So when you go to update your image, all you're doing you're only having to update core image OS type patches, and if you installed any particular apps into the image, those will get updated as well. But the fact that you have a system that and a procedure that goes across your virtual and your physical desktops and apps, I think that's a big advantage for a lot of people.
Well said. Okay, so we've kind of given a high level touch of all the different services that we offer. A lot of customers are still like, this is a lot of work. We just want to offload it entirely to you guys. I don't want to have a data center, but I don't want to pay for an Azure or AWS specialist either, right? There's a lot of training and intensive, architecture designs and blueprints and everything that has to go into the whole public cloud stack. So we offer and have proudly offered our XenTegra hosted cloud for many, many years now. That it's very, very popular in the desktop as a service space, right? People are like, you guys are the experts. You guys know how to build a desktop. Just build me a desktop and I'll just access it from your data center. In 2023, we completely partnered with Nutanix, deployed Nutanix powered desktops in both of our data centers in North America. Nutanix is an amazing platform that really helps control the cost of VDI based on their licensing model when you compare it to other large vendors. And then we partnered with Equinix for several years now prior to our partnership with Nutanix. So we offer the best in breed for hosted cloud for many years now, and we've taken what we know works for customers and we've delivered it as a service. And it's more than just a desktop as a service. I want to really make this clear, is that you're getting all of our best practices. Everything I've talked about is part of that service. So all the security, where we're building you the VDI from scratch, it's going to be CIS compliant or however compliant you want. It's going to have all the security. If you have ADCs, we're going to take care of patching them for you. It's a complete white glove turnkey service. So you're not having to worry about building VLANs or publishing apps or anything like that. It's like, I want a desktop and I want these 5 apps and I want it to be safe and secure. Absolutely, here it is. Enjoy, right? We've taken that entire workload from you and just given you the app like a telephone, right? I want dial tone, here's dial tone.
Hey, Hey, Brian, we got a question here. This is a pretty common one. What do you guys do for Teams, like Microsoft Teams and your DAS?
Great question. We offer two solutions. By far, the most popular option is GPU-powered desktops. So if you compare XenTegra Cloud to the public cloud, we have the ability to customize the size of the GPU in the node for you. This makes it very, very cost efficient to give your users Windows 10 or Windows 11 GPU-enabled desktops that allows them pretty much to offload any of the popular web chat apps, right? Teams, WebEx, Zoom. The GPU crunches through them all. And outside of those kind of video chat workloads, it's great for web training, right? It's not that uncommon these days that if you have a new employee, they need to go through some kind of web training. YouTube is, 1080p is very popular. And if you load that in modern VDI without having some optimizations enabled, you're going to bog it down. So GPU by far is the most popular option for consuming any kind of video content. If you don't want to cover that cost of having a GPU-enabled desktop, we can help you with specific use cases for optimizing things like Teams, WebEx, or Zoom, chat products that have a optimization component on the endpoint. So we can help deliver that solution hosted for you with the best practices for your software stack. And we can help you make sure that you're using the right endpoint along with that, right? So there's kind of a little bit of a B tree analysis you have to do to make sure that you have the right software, all right optimization, and the right endpoint to get that experience without a GPU. And there are some expectations that we can help you set with your end users that you can only use X, Y, and Z versus the GPU-enabled desktop, which is you can pretty much use it on any software platform. So great question, Trevor. Very, very popular in the post-COVID era.
Well, hopefully, hopefully that answered the question. No, that's great.
So outside of disaster recovery, the XenTegra Cloud is fully capable of handling any of the next generation workloads, any kind of object storage workloads, Kubernetes, AI. Because we have partnered with the Nutanix platform, and the Nutanix platform is forward-thinking, next generation technology, we can do it all in the data center. Our data center is built in best of breed. We have, again, partnered with Equinix, which is a tier 4 data center. We can dynamically spin up workloads across the world using the Equinix Metal technology. And then outside of that, we've got it plugged into our Fortinet backbone for WAN connectivity, and next generation firewalls, and Cisco Nexus switching for backplane to ensure if you need a high throughput workload, we can accommodate for that. So 100 gigabit links between within the data centers, and then 25 gigabit links to your servers. We've got more than enough horsepower to satisfy the everyday workloads for 99.999% of use cases. And then, of course, all of that is delivered through the Now platform. So there's a lot of self-service. There's a lot of the ability to consume workflows. If you don't have ServiceNow yourself, you can actually consume ServiceNow from us as a managed service. So if you've seen the things that we have to offer, like self-service with Citrix service session resets, you can get that as a service from XenTegra, not just consuming the self-service functions of Citrix, but getting all of the functionality of ServiceNow, things like CMDB and asset management, dashboards, monitoring, all of that can be consumed as a managed service from XenTegra. And you can pair that with additional services like desktop as a service to deliver your end users a holistic experience and drastically reducing the mundane tasks that you have as an organization from an IT perspective. So we're very, very proud of the platform that we've built, and we find it very robust and totally is capable of handling whatever's coming down the pipe in the future. Quick recap of everything that we do offer. We are enterprise focused, but I like to think that we have taken a combination of the CSP licensing and our multi-tenancy of products to be able to deliver enterprise grade stacks to small, medium-sized companies, or even all the way up to the enterprise, and maybe get you some better pricing, right? When you do things in bulk, you're always going to get that better pricing. And when it comes to technologies that have to have a blueprint or some kind of design, there's a lot of money to be saved, and that we've already figured that out. right? And consuming things as a service is way easier and operationally efficient when having to do that yourself. So we consider all of these platforms to be best in breed. And then when you tie them all together through the integrations of the Now platform, you have a really powerful solution that is still cutting edge, but is incredibly robust. It's built like a tank. It's nimble like a rabbit. I'm very, very proud of our data center. Everyone will talk about how fast I think it is and how secure it is. And on top of all the tech, we have the best engineers in the world, always in training, always learning new things. They're hungry for technology. So when you combine all those things together, you have a really powerful platform and a really robust service that is just giving you the best of everything that we have to offer. That's how I see our managed services team. Trevor, I'll let you take this slide. I think I might be a little biased on why people love us, particularly the MSP team.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think we probably made these points, but there's a few here that are obviously a big part of it. You got to have the right people, and so we definitely have those. We've just got, obviously a business is really built around the solution, so we've got some real rock stars, and so we'll just call that table stakes, like that an assumption that we have the best people involved, but we also, again, going back to that blueprint that Brian, talked a lot about. That's really where, the difference between, hey, I'm gonna, I've got a great Citrix guy and I've got something more outcome-based, successful outcome, whatever that is. And that's a little bit more challenging, right? Even though you might be, you have the right resources. Cost savings, like, so from a managed service perspective, it's very simple. Like it's the idea that you're getting a team, you're getting the blueprint, you're getting the knock, you're getting, for a whole lot less than you would, having to build that out yourself or to staff the number of FTEs. So it's definitely a cost savings exercise as well. So, and everybody's, obviously looking to optimize and lower costs. So, so like I mentioned, it's outcome-based versus task or role-based. It's white glove. We're not, we have grown a lot, but we're still, we haven't, we care about our customers, and and that's the type of people that we hire here. That's the people that want to work here. The ones that care, we care about our customer, we care about the guys that we work with, and providing something that we're proud of. So, yeah, I think somewhere in there, that's typically why we have a really high retention rate with our customers. And I'll say it. I mean, we're not perfect, and I won't even, we won't claim to be perfect, but I think we have a lot of things going for us, and when there is an issue, we address it, with you, and we over communicate to make sure that we're all on the same page. So hopefully that answers it.
Well said.
Yeah.
Wrapping up here, we're really pleased. Since day one, we've always offered a lot of education, complimentary assessments, and we have always passed discounts back into our customers' hands for, visiting with us at conferences and growing and educating. Andy, our founder, has always said education first. So please take advantage of all of these things that we have to offer. Large shout out to our vendor-focused podcast. There's a lot of great information there. I'm sure a lot of you have long, boring commutes. I'd like to think that these are both fun and educational, and there's a lot of information to be gleaned from these kinds of podcasts that we have. There's a lot of fun interactions, and we have a bunch of them. So check them all out. I particularly like the Nutanix one. So please post any questions into chat. Happy to answer them. Thank you so much for joining. We hope this was beneficial for us, and we'll be sending out a link to the recording.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Thanks everybody for joining. Appreciate it.